Hey guys, Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. And it's a positive vibes and love your way today if you need it. Today we're talking about Tormin the Cold. I have become a massive Tormin fan, really in the days after he fell out of the meta. Like back in the day, he's still meta right now, but back in the day, Tormin was everywhere. Everywhere before Stone Skin, before Polymorph, etc. But he's still incredibly good. In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to use Tormin the Cold, all of which I actually do on both of my accounts. So I can't wait to get to today's video. Let's go ahead and give us some shout outs. First, we have David Stevens, What about Tormin? Well, today, you got Tormin, man. Stephen Wright says, thank you so much, Ash. Find them very helpful. Can you do a guide on Tormin next? Absolutely, Steven, we can. And then Rue49686 says, hey, Ash, recently got Tormin the Cold, my second legendary. Very excited. I've seen you talk about him in another video and weren't too fond of him. Whoa. I don't think I ever said I wasn't fond of Tormin, man. I am massively fond of Tormin. Massively. And then Masi Mami. Next video, how to build Tormin for live arena. I'm not sure if we'll do live arena today, but I use Tormin all the time in live arena on my main account. I'm currently top 250 in the world in live arena, and I use Tormin, I would say, in about 20% of my battles. Now, I say a lot, but if the other team does not run a bunch of cleansers, right, or a bunch of 6-star polymorphs or something like that, I am running Tormin. AKA, if they ever choose an Arbiter and like a bomb team or a speed team, a Lady Kimmy, whatever, I'm running Tormin and he will absolutely lock them down. So I'm a big fan, but he is a little bit situational when it comes to live arena. Anyway, what do we love about Tormin the Cold? First off, we love his aesthetics. He looks freaking cool, man. He's a Void Affinity legendary from the Dwarfs faction. And yeah, man, I mean, he's one of my favorite looking champions in the game. He's just really, really cool aesthetically. He's got the big beard. He's got the frost coming out of the the shoulder pads and so on and so forth. On his A1, Rhyme Fire. It's an AoE attack, okay? AoE on the A1 with a 25% chance of placing a freeze. This is on his A1, not bad at all. Instantly activates this skill whenever an enemy under a freeze and HP burn takes damage from the HP burn. More on that in just a moment. I love that synergy. It might sound daunting at first. Wait, they have to be under freeze and HP burn? But it's on no cooldown, and if we can set him up with the right champions, he will just absolutely decimate the enemy team. You'll see that today. On Iceberg Crush, this is his only single target ability in his kit. Removes all buffs from the target enemy, then attacks the target 2 times. Steals all buffs instead if the target's under a freeze, ignoring defense if the target's under a freeze and an HP burn. On the A3, Blizzard Rage, another AoE. Places a block buffs, debuffs, and a 100% heal reduction for 2 turns on enemies under freeze debuffs. Also has an 80% chance when booked of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn on enemies not under freeze. So more control on that A3. Decrease the cooldown of 1 random skill of each ally by 1 turn for every enemy attacked under both freeze and HP burn. Another sneaky addition to his kit where if you can set it up, that is very, very powerful. Decreasing the cooldown of a random skill of each ally by 1 turn is incredibly powerful. And then we have Wintry Wind, what he's known for, his passive, 6-turn cooldown here on the active effect, okay? Active effect is revives this champion with 100% HP when killed. It has a freeze debuff on this champion for 1 turn. This passive effect is active all the time. It's not on the cooldown, okay? Has a 30% chance when booked of placing a freeze debuff on the enemy each time they receive a buff or have their turn meter filled. The 20% chance, or 30% when booked, applies up to twice per enemy turn, once for a buff and once for turn meter fills in cases where enemies receive multiple of these effects at the same time. Does not work for effects from artifact sets. turn meter filling effects from Masteries, healing, or those buffs or effects that take place at the start of the round, aka like a Necret the Great, or a bolster set, for example, okay? Very powerful control out of this passive. It's been nerfed several times throughout the years, but it's still incredibly strong. He also has defense in all battles by 33%. A very good defensive aura. This champion, we're going to highlight him in the arena today on my mini account first and then my main account afterwards. But I have to stress this. He's a very good control champion in waves anywhere in the game for progression as well, okay? Don't look at him as only an arena champion, although in the end game, that is his strongest niche by far. Let's quickly look at the multipliers in his kit here. He has on the A1 a 2 defensive rating on the multiplier. It ranks as a weak, but it's not that weak at all, okay? On the A2, a 3 defense multiplier, single target. And on the A3, a 3.8 multiplier average damage ranking. So again, dealing some damage too. I like building him as a nuker, a defensive base nuker. You put increased defense on him, obviously setting him up. Not only will he stay alive longer, but he'll also deal a lot more damage, okay? Because obviously increased defense by 60% is, you know, it's like increased attack by 50%, only better for defensive base nukers inside the game. So let me show you how I built him on my mini account. This is not the best gear. It's not the best setup, but I wanted to show you, okay? So it's a little bit of versatility. We have him in speed boots. You wouldn't guess it. His base speed is very low. We have him in speed boots in a shield set, okay? We also have defense percentage on the chest. We have crit rate on the gauntlets. So I would go crit rate or crit damage on the gauntlets, and I would go defense percentage if you're building him to be a nuker, okay? If you're building him to be an all-out control champion, you don't care about his damage at all, I would go with HP percentage on the gauntlets, and I would go with accuracy on the chest or defense percentage and accuracy on the banner. Either way, I would go accuracy on the banner on this champion. The only reason I have HP on this banner is because I don't have any accuracy banners for the Dora's faction on my account. Let me actually just double check that, because I went spider farming last night, and look at this. The first one, well, you can't see it because I'm covering it, but the first one is an accuracy banner. Now the question is do we have the silver to upgrade? No, we don't. Womp, womp. Hey, we'll still take it to, no speed on this one, unfortunately. We can take it to level 9. Hey, you know what? 51 accuracy is better than nothing, so we'll take it. Accuracy is obviously a stat priority on this champion. When we talk about stat priorities, we have a little bit of HP on him because we have a shield set on him, so, you know, keeping the team alive if we don't go first on the various teams that we're going to be utilizing. Shield set, I would not say is the way to go on this champion. I would definitely say Savage or Lethal if you're building him out to be a nuker, or Triple Perception if you're building him out to be a control champion. I'll show you one of those builds on the main account in just a moment, okay? So again, Triple Perception, way to go. 139 speed with speed boots on is almost unheard of. It's almost like we went out of our way to keep him slow. We don't need him super slow, but for the strategies that we're going to be using, we also don't care about speed that much. I'll show you why on both of these strategies. Defense priority, crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy obviously is A1 in terms of priorities on this champion. In terms of masteries, we have him built out to do some damage because, well, you'll see why in a moment here, but we went down and picked up Helm Smasher. Here, let me go ahead and show you the entire thing. This is a really good nuker build on champions. I would say that if I had to do it over again, I would pick up Opportunist. We can do extra damage if they're under freeze debuffs. Keep in mind that enemies under freeze only receive 75% normal damage anyway. So getting Opportunist helps mitigate that by 12%. So I would go Opportunist instead of Cycle of Violence, but it's not the end of the world either. Helm Smasher is the way to go for PvE content. Of course, nothing wrong with coming all the way down and picking up Eagle Eye, again, if we're trying to min-max his accuracy to land all those freezes. But this guy's such a great defensive nuker, such an underrated defensive nuker in my opinion, that I like to build him as a nuker, personally. All right, so those are the masteries. Blessings on this champion. You have so many different ways you can go here. You can just play it super easy and go with Intimidating Presence. Obviously, that's going to strengthen our aura and give him some great speed and defense, depending on how high that we have it here. You could also go with Temporal temporal chains on this champion. We're getting more defense in terms of stats, and we're decreasing enemy speed by 5% for each active buff. This synergizes pretty nicely because we want the enemy team to be taking buffs in turn meter anyway with his passive to land those freezes. So now we have another reason in temporal chains. Of course, you could build him out to be an all-out nuker. In Soul Reap, however, it's giving him attack, which we do not need on this champion. We do get some crit damage at 4 stars, though. So those are the ways that I would personally run in terms of blessings on this champion. I guess the last thing that I will point out as another option would be Cruelty. Nope, my bad. Would be Crushing Rend. Again, first 2 hits each round, or first hit each round will ignore a percentage of the target's defense. That's an option that you guys can play around with as well. All right, so that's the build, guys. I'm eager to jump into the arena and show you 3 ways to use Tormin. So let's go ahead and start with the first way. All right, guys, we're going to burn through this arena literally. Here we have Kymar in the lead. We have Achak the Wender, and we have Skrank. Achak with the freeze setup on the A3, right? He has freeze or HP burn. We like to have a freeze champion going ahead of him because Tormin does have the freeze on his passive, but it's not guaranteed, right? So the more enemies with freeze, the better. We also have Skrank on the team. He has an HP burn on the AoE on the A3 ability. You could run a champion like Mordecai or any HP burner in this spot as well, but it's just getting this setup down. Now, Kymar is not instrumental to this team, but he's a nice to have. So we land the burns. Here comes Achak. Land some freezes. We land 1 freeze. So every time that Rhonda takes a turn here, he's going to instantly activate Tormin's A1, right? So that was the A3. She gets a turn, A1. We need more freezes, ideally. Here we go. Achak wasn't, okay, there we go, A1 again. So he's already got 3 attacks in here. That's 4 attacks in. And again, look at this. Every time Rhonda goes or Genzin goes, we're going to get another A1 ability. Ready? And now another one. There's another A1. So he's not doing a ton of damage, but it really does add up, right? I told you he's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going and going. All they need to do is take turns, and he's just going to keep smashing them with that A1 ability as long as they're under freeze and an HP burn. That's why you can do some really incredible things, not to mention that A3, we're reducing the cooldown of our allies' skills by 1 turn, which is hard to kind of recognize when it's happening. But again, when you have a setup like this, it's going to happen more than you'd actually recognize, more than you'd actually be prepared for or that you'd think. All right, let's go against another team. Teams to look out as well, to look out not using this strategy against, is teams with a bunch of cleansers, obviously, because they're going to be able to cleanse that freeze and the HP burn, and it's going to be negated the strategy. But luckily, in this level of the arena, just farming your Great Hall, you don't run into a ton of that. Look at this, guys. Here we go. That's his A3. That's his A1. It's really fun to watch. He just keeps going. And he's so slow, another A1. He's so slow that he takes like way more turns off the instant activation. There he goes again, man. It's really, really fun. Very fun strategy. He does a lot of attacking for somebody who has 150 speed. I love instant activation abilities in this game, like Zargala, like Hefrak. I love them, and this is one that people don't talk about a lot, but look at him, man. If you have the right setup, he just slowly but surely, he just nukes them all down with that A1, and it's a sight to behold. All right, guys, let me show you the other strategy you can use with this dude, right? So let's go against this team. I'm not sure if we're going to be faster than that team above it, but we'll check it out. We'll try it out. And this is a blender. Oh, man, he's so nasty in a blender because he has that AoE on the A1, plus you're bringing in control with the freeze. So we have an ally attack champion, Apherica the Fat, and then we have Sinesha Skullcrown, and then Tormin just keeps coming in there with his, again, now block damage is going to be a pain to get around here, so we're going to wait this one out for a little bit. But boy, is it a fun strat, right? Having him on a blender comp is really magic to behold. Now, looks like we're going to be in a little bit of trouble here, right? Because of the stupid Roshkar the Tower, man, ruining my video, but it's not over yet. Let's see. It's close to over now. It's close to over now. Finally, our freeze runs out on him, and the zone of protection comes back out, so be careful of block damage. Helicath as well, you know. Okay, Roshkard, you won this time, not next time. Let's go against this team that I avoided. Hopefully we'll pick up the victory here. Obviously, what you want to do on a team like this, on a blender comp, is just load up all your best speed gear on your ally attacker, and then just put a bunch of AoEs on the A1 on the same team as well. You can see that obviously we do need accuracy to pull off all those freezes even on the passive, but every time that turn meter is bumped, and that happens a lot on a Valkyrie team and an Arbiter team, we're going to automatically, or not automatically, we're going to have a chance of placing that freeze. And the more turn meter boosting that happens on the enemy team, the better things are going to be for us. So I think a blender comp is definitely a little bit of an unorthodox strategy for a tanky champion like a Tormin the Cold, but it's definitely a viable strategy as well. The only downside here is we don't have an increased defense on him, and it's very tricky to get an increased defense buff on a team that is an ally attack team. But let's go against one more squad here. Let's see if we can beat. The nice thing about having him, though, is even if we don't win the speed race against a team like this, we still have a chance. It's not a guarantee, but he could freeze them all up. Let's see. Nope, we go first. That's great. So Arbiter's going to go ahead and revive eventually here. And we just keep going, man. And every time their turn meters fill, we have that shot. We have that shot of freezing them right in their spot. Of course, higher the accuracy, the better. But luckily, in you know, where we gold 2, gold 1, there's not a lot of teams with super high resistance. You can usually get by with around 200 or so accuracy. Usually it gets the job done, and it's certainly doing so against this team. The teams that usually have high accuracy in this game, or high resistance, excuse me, in this game, are the really super tanky teams, you know? And you wouldn't necessarily be going against a Nekret Siffy team, Marichka team, using a blender comp, right? You probably don't have enough bang for your buck, you know? But against speedy teams like this, absolutely. All right, guys, I did want to show you the big boy Tormin from the big boy account here before I let you go. So let me go ahead and show you the team that I use him on right now. It's kind of a tag team arena team here. We have Mithrala in there for the increased attack for Jirgid and the increased defense for Tormin. Then we have Nekret to protect and in a bolster set. So I use this against speed teams. This is the type of team that I would use. Only thing that we're kind of lacking, obviously, is a reviver, so you have to be careful there. So like a Pythion would work fine on this team as well in a bolster set instead of a Nekret, or we could just simply not run Jirgid and have a much slower team. But I love Tormin on these type of teams. You can see he's built to be a big boy nuker here, as you can see, and he has some help from Nutcracker as well. So between the two of them, they really do get the job done. Let me go ahead and pick. I would go against any speed team with a team like this, right? So this is another speed team here. Basically, I don't want to talk too soon, but for the most part, I can beat any speed team with a comp like this, still using Tormin. And this would reflect the exact type of build that I use for the arena and the exact type of team that I use for the arena. When I see a bunch of speed champions, I'm running Tormin the Cold just to freeze everybody, man. They don't have a solution for it, right? Let's go one more speed team here. Even if they have a Warlord or Yumeko, it's not that big of a deal. We have a strong AoE attack on the A1 of Tormin, and we can take a hit and keep on hitting. We have Nekret's buffs at the beginning of the match anyway, so again, look at this. Frozen. Well, was she frozen? Now she's frozen. There we go. They do come in and get that cleanse, but again, we're looking fine, man. They can't do much against my team here. We go in with the A1. Does enough damage. Tormin can be, another reason I love Tormin for live arena is because he can be a sneaky damage dealer. What I try to do is, I personally only play Rhodos on my account for an attack-based, he's HP-based too, but quasi-attack-based nuker. Sometimes, as you can see, I'll run Jirgid, but on live arena, I only run 3 nukers usually, 3 damage dealers, 4 maybe. Rhodos, Tormin, Harima, and Helikath. So 3 of them, or 4, are all HP or defense based, right? That's because I love really, really strong teams that can't just be nuked to smithereens, right? So what I do is I build them all to be uber nukers with crit damage on their gauntlets. I'll show you this build after this battle as well. But look at this. Freeze, freeze, freeze. I mean, everybody's frozen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they have or what they're doing. He has provokes on his A3. I mean, he's really difficult to contend with, Tormin, provided you're not going right into a Mithrala Marichka team or something crazy like that, like a Mithrala, Marichka, Sify, and a Taurus team or something like that, right? So let me go ahead and show you this build before I let you guys go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this guide so far. All right, guys, so here we go. This is the end game Tormin the Cold. We have him in, as I mentioned before, triple perception. It's funny, I actually thought that he was in a Savage or Lethal, but I remember now, triple perception I do think is the way to go, even if you're building him as a nuker, because you need to get that accuracy up, and it's hard to ignore the power of 120 accuracy from a triple perception set. I mean, it's really powerful, right? So we have triple perception, but we still have him built every other way is to nuke. We have accuracy with some nice defense on the substats there on the banner. We have crit damage with a trip accuracy on the amulet. And we have defense with a really nice 28% defense on the ring. On the boots, we have speed, I'm sure. We have them total at 116 speed over base. We have speed. We have defense percentage, and then we have crit damage on the gauntlets here, okay? We don't have any blessings, unfortunately, on him, but as you guys can see, we went down the support tree and the offense tree. Offense tree looks a little bit different. We did go down and pick up Opportunist, as I mentioned earlier, Ruthless Ambush, and Helm Smasher. On the support tree, most importantly, I would say, is Lore of Steel, right? We just talked about the power of 120 accuracy, where we're going to get a further 15% boost off of that as well, which is fantastic, right? Because accuracy does matter a lot. And oftentimes, the reason I call this an end game build is it's really tough to get a lot of defense, decent amount of speed, crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy all on one champion. But I did the best that I could, and I really love this build. He's done me really well, and hopefully he does the same for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.